Back in the days, I had a boss and he used to always say, nothing happens until you sell something. Now, when he first said this, I was thinking, bro, he's just saying that because he's the CEO and he's trying to get some money in his pocket and trying to get us to sell. But then I came to realize that he is 100% right. Think about it. HR can't process anything. The finance folks can't do anything. Marketing can't do anything because they're not going to work. Nobody's going to do anything unless we have money. And money comes through selling. In today's episode, Harry is going to talk to us about the same concept and why selling is actually honorable and how we can be proud and excited to go out and sell something well. Check it out. This episode is brought to you in part by mailtag.io. Essentially, it's a tool that allows you to see around the corner. Want to know when someone opens your email? Or perhaps maybe there's a link to your proposal. Want to know when they click on it? Mailtag.io gotcha. Take advantage of a 14-day free trial. Simply go to mailtag.io. This episode is also brought to you in part by TSE Certified Sales Training Program. If you feel that your sales are in a slump, 2018 wasn't the best year. Perhaps you gave some amazing presentations, you did a lot of hard work, but still yet they left you and went with the competition? We can fix that. Check out TSE Certified Sales Training Program. We have a new semester beginning in April, and it would be an absolute honor to have you join. Go to thesalesevangelist.com/C as in certified, S as in sales, T as in training. thesalesevangelist.com/CST. Hey, everyone. Welcome to another great episode of the Sales Evangelist Podcast. I'm your host, Donald Kelly, the Sales Evangelist, and I'm so excited for another great episode. I'm so excited to be here with you today. And on this episode, we have Mr. Harry Mazier on the podcast, and he's going to talk to us about why it's so important for us to sell something. Come on, y'all. Get up. Get on up. Let's sell something. Harry is a business owner. He is a coach. He is a guide. He is an author. Dude has been down a path and helped many organizations. And today, yes, today, he's going to talk to us a little bit more about why it's so darn important for us to recognize the need to sell. How every organization, no matter if you're the entrepreneur, if you are the salesperson, the sales leader, we all need to understand and practice the fundamentals of selling and do it well. He's also going to talk to us about storytelling and his book, Story Selling. I think you're going to love it. Let's go ahead and check it out. Welcome to the show, Harry.
Thank you, Donald. I'm happy to be here.
And I'm looking forward to chatting with you today. And we're going to talk about this fundamental principle when it comes towards selling, how nothing, absolutely nothing begins until we sell something. And oftentimes we see that business owners or sometimes sales reps, they have a hard time opening their mouth. And I'm looking forward to just have an honest conversation with you about this and get your expertise in some of the stories that you have. But before we dive into all that fun stuff, why don't you tell us a little bit more about you and what you do, Harry?
Well, I have failed retirement. For a very long time, I was with Zepp Manufacturing Company, a division of NSI, New York Stock Exchange Company, and I ran the chemical division. And I was fortunate enough to be president for 27 years. And we had a sales force that numbered 2,000 men and women, about 1,500 in North America and 500 in Europe. And we sold industrial maintenance materials, waxes, cleaners, deodorants, disinfectants, insecticides, anything and everything to keep the world clean. And it was a direct sales approach. Since has been modified to also include a retail component. And that was the very last thing I did before retiring was introduce Home Depot to the mix. And now it's expanded to other retail outlets as well. But it was commission-oriented. It was old-fashioned, throwback, assertive selling, friendships, relationships, and still, in my mind, with all of the issues today with getting FaceTime and the short attention span of most buyers and the internet, there's still a place, and there will always be a place for relationships.
I agree with that 110% because I think sometimes people feel that we need to, like, you cannot circumvent a genuine relationship. And I think, like, say, for instance, if you might think like, well, I have the microwave. Let's just follow an analogy here. I have the microwave, so I have no need to worry about any type of other cooking. I can just put something in the microwave and cook. Well, nothing is going to happen until you have a farm, because you still have to grow the food that you might put in the microwave. So though the internet is a great tool for us to meet more people, or social media, there's nothing, you can't get past the fundamentals of human relationship in that whole process. You hear me on that one?
Oh, I'm with you. There's an old adage that said, when all things are equal, people want to buy from their friends. When all things aren't equal, people still want to buy from their friends. So make friends. I promise you. I'll start you with a simple story. Years ago, I was at the University of Florida. It was the first time I'd been away from home, and in a moment of loneliness and despair, I sent a telegram. You're old enough to remember telegrams. To my dad and said, "Dear Dad, am without money or friends. Love, Harry." A sad message. And my dad immediately sent back, "Dear Harry, make friends. Love, Dad." So the point is that he was not in sales, but he couldn't have given me a better sales lesson than to make friends.
So true. And I think we get in our own way sometimes that prevent that from happening. We just need to open our mouth and get past it. I want to talk to you about this concept that nothing happens until you sell something. All of us in our profession, everyone listening to this podcast, Harry, we're sales reps, or we are sales leaders, or we are business owners that inadvertently, bro, if we don't sell, we do not eat. So let's have that conversation. Nothing happens until we sell something. It sounds basic, but let's discuss that. Break that down for me. Why is that so important for us to understand?
It's the very lubricant of our economy that, build a better mousetrap and, people, will find your door. Bull. You got to show that mousetrap. You got to demonstrate that mousetrap. You've got to show how it fits the need of the customer. You've got to follow up with on-time delivery and help them through the use of that mousetrap. And sales, I don't care how good your manufacturing and how precise your accounting and how deep your R&D may be, it all starts when someone gets a customer or a prospect to say, "Yes, okay, I'll take some. That sounds fine. How does it come? How much is it?" And once that's closed, that starts the gears moving, and everything takes off from that point of agreement. Nothing happens until somebody sells something. It is just a truism that cannot be denied in any way.
Why do you feel people have a hard time, or why do you feel people talk themselves out of selling? Because I know it's Monday morning, you and I are talking here, and there's probably few sales reps who are listening to us to get a little motivation, but he or she, they're going to find all kinds of things that's going to come up to say why they can't go out and sell today. Why is that?
Well, probably the number one reason is fear of failure. People, if you don't stick your neck out, you don't get it chopped off. People are afraid that, well, do I want to make that call? And they've ridden by that prospect 12 times, and they always find there's not a parking place. It's too early. It's too late. But there's a reluctance. You just got to suck it up, and you got to knock on those doors. And once you get in front of that customer, and it's hard to do, you need to know what you're talking about. You need to be enthusiastic. You need to be excited. If you're not excited about what you're doing, go do something else. Emerson years ago said nothing great was ever accomplished without enthusiasm. And It's so true. I once read a statement that I love. I pinned it up. People who don't get carried away should be. And there's no question that that's the case. Get excited. But when you get there, be smart. Don't let them know how much you know. Tell them how much they need to know to get where you want them to get. Selling is convincing someone else to agree with your opinion. But the point is, so many people overstay their welcome, speak too much. There's an old story that says, Samson slew 1,000 Philistines with the jawbone of an ass. And twice that many sales are killed every day with the same implement. So Don't try to be an educator. It's an honorable profession, education, but that's not your role. Your role is to provide the necessary information and be convincing. Salespeople, the best salespeople, don't sell. They help people buy. And there's a distinct difference between selling the old-fashioned, hard closing, rapacious, nasty, opportunistic. That's not where the world is today. It's instructional, it's informational, it's helpful. That's where selling is. Be a friend to your customer. Be a resource to your customer. I can remember years ago when I was being trained in my very first sales job. I walked in with a rep, and he's trying to teach me how to sell, and we'd get in, and the guy'd say, okay, Charlie, go see what I need and send it to me. And I'm thinking, how am I learning? Well, what I learned is that he had a good enough relationship with that customer and enough trust and confidence from that customer that he said, go see what I need and send it. That's the epitome of a sales relationship.
Yeah.
And so, again, it is an honorable profession, and it's taken a lot of licks and a lot of hits. And some of them have been self-induced because, there is an underside to sales, and that some people have not treated it fairly and properly and with the respect it deserves. But good salespeople are a resource for our economy. They really are helpful to customers, and they really provide answers. It's a great place to be. Why do people choose sales? Lots of reasons. Most people just like the interaction with people. Probably number one. I guess the other people like independence would probably be the two reasons. Two best reasons. Manage your own time and enjoy the relating with people. And then, of course, income opportunities and all the other attributes of a sales job. But you must like people if you're going to be really good at this thing called sales.
Let's back up here for a second. You mentioned that some people have, maybe I heard it wrong, but it seems like it alluded to that sometimes people will look at sales, and I'm me paraphrasing here, so don't get mad. People will look at us as salespeople in a negative light. Why do others, buyers or consumers, often, in your opinion, look at salespeople in such a negative way?
Well, it goes back a long way to where selling was the hard-charging closer, the slick oil, tell you what I'm going to do, step right up, the carnival barker. I mean, that really was a part of sales, was trying to take an advantage, oftentimes an unfair advantage. And salespeople have to live through that and have to live that down and have to establish themselves not as an impediment, but as a resource. And the point is, that's not an easy thing to do, because you really oftentimes start with people saying, another salesman is at my door. Mm-hmm. Or the calls that we all get, robocalls now, at least we're not talking to someone, so it's easier to hang up. We feel as guilty when we hang up to a robocall. But people really want to buy, Donald. Mm-hmm. Someone interrupts your meal when you want to say, go away and stay away, but you say, oh, look, I'm busy right now. Try to get me at another time, or I have no interest. And you're apologizing to that person that's interrupted your meal. When you're walking by on the street and there's a beggar there, some people try not to make eye contact because they don't want to say no, or they'll go to the other side of the street. Most people want to buy. We just need to give them a reason to buy. And we can't be self-deprecating. I hate when someone says, I'm just a salesman. Shame on you. What do you mean you're just a salesman? I'm a sales rep, and I love what I do, and I do it with integrity, and I do it every day to get better at it and to help my customers.
Hey, we're going to take a quick break, but when we get back, Harry and I are going to pick up right here and talk about why we need to be so proud of being a sales professional and how that's going to help us to be successful. You're listening to the Sales Evangelist podcast, and I'm your host, Donald Kelly, the Sales Evangelist. You meet this amazing prospect on LinkedIn. They're the right size firm, the right income, the right number of employees. They're right within your Goldilocks zone. They have a problem, and you can solve that problem with your software. You schedule an initial appointment. You send out an email to them and to a couple of their team members. You also send out some information about your firm, but you don't know if they're opening your emails or not. You don't know if they're clicking through and going to the web pages that you recommended. It's a Chrome browser extension that allows you to get notification when someone opens your email or clicks on a link. The coolest part is that you can schedule your emails for later. Mailtag.io has a free 14-day trial, so you don't have to take my word for it. You can go and test it out. And when you do fall in love with it, go ahead and use promo code Donald at checkout and get half off your subscription for life. Shh, don't go telling nobody about that now. Half off your subscription for life just because you're listening to the TSE podcast. To find out more information, again, go to mailtag.io. But let's continue the story. The prospect then goes ahead and clicks on all of your links. They go back to your website. They're doing their initial research. They want to schedule the next meeting. You go through the process. You create a demonstration. I mean, an amazing demonstration. You gave it everything you had, your emotion, your heart, your feelings. You gave epic value. But still yet, when it's all said and done, they said,
Thank you so much, Donald. Unfortunately, we are going with another vendor. We appreciate all that you did. Thank you.
Devastated. I know that feeling. I've been there. You've been there. And it's horrible. But we can fix that. We fix that by helping you with TSE Certified Sales Training Program. We would love for you to check out our upcoming semester to learn how we can help you not only find the right customers, not only say the right things and help your clients get all the way to the demonstration, but actually what you should be doing to help them convert to come towards your product or your service. To find out more information, go to thesalesevangelist.com/CST. Again, thesalesevangelist.com/C for certified, S for sales, T for training. We have a new semester coming up in April, and I would love to have you join us. Let's help you to close more deals. Hey, we're back, and we're going to pick up right where we left off, and Harry and I are going to continue discussing this concept of being proud and being excited for our role as a sales rep. You know, that's a good way to look at that too. We are not, because you go back to your beginning, the question I asked, but how, for your feelings on why we need to realize that nothing happens until we sell something. I had a CEO at a company I worked once, and he emphasized that the marketing will not get money. HR will not get money. Finance folks won't have any money to play with, to divvy out or tell you what you can't spend with, unless salespeople bring something through the door. Unless we have something in the door, nobody else will get anything. So it's very honorable. It needs to be. And I think there's a renaissance right now with sales of how people are changing the way that that old school mentality. And unfortunately, great salespeople, you don't see good movies about great salespeople. The best movies about salespeople are the ones who are the cons or the crooks or they trick people, because that's a story. That's a drama, right? So society then have this depiction of what a salesperson is going to do. And that's a one-sided relationship, as opposed to somebody like you or me, Harry, who are looking for helping people to buy and to provide value to them. And that's a boring story when it's all said and done, at least for a movie.
It's so true, so true. And so many salespeople put artificial limits on their own success.
What do you mean artificial limits?
They settle for good enough instead of good. And, they've gotten their 4 orders for the day and they say, wow, that's pretty good. I think I'm knocking off early, when they should be saying, I got 8 orders one day. Let me go see if I can get 9 today. I mean, there's so many differences and so many limitations that people oftentimes impose that they need not. You can be as good as you want to be in sales. There are no restraints. There are no limitations. And as you've said and I've said, and it bears repeating, nothing happens until somebody sells something. And I've found through the years that stories help. Stories that are relevant, stories that are powerful, stories that have surprise endings, stories that are motivational. People like stories. I think Rudyard Kipling many, many, many years ago said, if history were taught in the form of stories, it would never be forgotten. And it's so true that people love stories. So rather than just giving facts, features, benefits, if you can incorporate into your own sales presentation a story, it just means so much. And if you do it as well as you know how, day after day, consistently, persistently, success is there. Success is not really that hard. It's just that so few people really try. And if you try hard enough, it's limitless to what one can accomplish.
Love it. I also want to go back to this. Let's say that I do want to utilize stories in my selling. I do want to start doing stories to become more effective. How do I go about starting to do that? Because say somebody's brand new, they don't have stories. What's some recommendation that you'd give them to become effective at storytelling?
Other than buying Harry Mazier's book, Story Selling, Sage Advice and Common Sense about Sales and Success, what better template could one have? But seriously, Donald, you got to read and you got to listen and you've got to stay attuned and you've got to write down. I've got files filled with anecdotes. When I did finally get around to putting this book together, it was just culling information that I had clipped and collected through years and years and years. Someone once asked me, how long did it take to write the book? I said about 60 years. It took 60 years to fill the files. It took about 6 months to try to winnow and edit and try to see what it was that I wanted to say. But people just like stories. And that's the way you listen and you observe. And don't be afraid of repeating what others have said. Give them credit if you know who said it. But if not, take advantage of the story to use. But I promise you it helps.
Love it. I realize too, when you tell a story, especially when you bring up a client, because a lot of times when your clients, they want to buy, right? They just want to have a path of least resistance. And sometimes the seller has not given a clear path. So the buyer in his or her mind is confused. And what typically happens with the story, you share how somebody else was in a similar situation and was able to go through it and was able to see result. Yeah, it makes me realize, okay, well, somebody else did it. Of course, I can too. But if you don't use a story, if you don't give some kind of proof, oftentimes it's difficult. And I think that's where story comes back to. It validates. And maybe that's a better word.
It does. But the story in itself, won't stand on its own. You've got to stand with it. You've got to support it. You've got to have a reason for people to buy, and you've got to have given your very best effort. Can I tell you a story, Donald?
Please. I'm waiting for it. I was waiting all day for this story.
There was many years ago, there was a Pennsylvania Dutch minister who really didn't have his own pulpit, and he would go from town to town delivering sermons on Sunday where a preacher was either ill or was on vacation or they didn't have a full-time preacher. And one Sunday morning, he and his son boarded a bus and went an hour or so from where he lived to a pulpit where he was going to deliver the sermon that Sunday morning. And as he and his son walked into the vestibule in the front of the church, there was a box that was marked for the poor. And while the preacher himself was not blessed with an abundance of worldly goods, he reached into his pocket and he took out a quarter and he dropped it into the poor box. And he went on and he delivered the sermon. And when the sermon was over, the officials of the church thanked him and they walked him out to the front. And they said, you may not know this, but it's the custom of the church to give the contents of the poor box to the visiting preacher. Turned it upside down and shook it, and out fell nothing but the quarter that the preacher had put in. He pocketed it with a wry smile, and he and his son headed hand in hand back to the bus station to take the bus back home. And as they were walking, his son looked up at his father and he said to his father, "Dad, you would have gotten more out of that had you put more in it, wouldn't you?" How true with everything we do. So stories in themselves are not the answer. It's how you support it with your work, with your effort. The best rules of success won't work unless you do. And you have to remember that as you go through life. It takes you every day doing the best you can do. I love the 10 words, 10 two-letter words. You've probably heard them, but they too bear repeating. 10 powerful two-letter words, Donald. If it is to be, it is up to me.
Ooh.
And people need to recognize that. They need to know that you can find blame and you can find excuses, but when it's all said and done, if it is to be, it is up to me. It doesn't mean you're an island. It doesn't mean you can do it without support and resources. But when push comes to shove, you better be ready to answer the bell.
Love it. If there's one major takeaway you'd like folks listening to this episode to walk away with, what's the one major piece of advice, Harry?
Oh, that don't think you're not in sales. Everybody is in sales. From the moment you get up in the morning till you go to bed at night, you are persuading, you are influencing, you are negotiating, you are communicating, you're engaging, you're encouraging, you're selling. So don't run from it. Embrace it. Learn to be better at it. Grow by failing. You'll get stronger. Knock on that door. It's not, what's the old story? It's not often you get knocked down. It's how many times you get back up. So you get back up and you learn what's effective and you learn to communicate and you learn to be true to yourself and you learn that, wow, I have an opportunity as a salesperson. They've given me the right product. It's priced competitively. Now it's up to me to tell my story emphatically, motivationally, and often enough. You got to show up on time, in time, enough times to be effective. And so many people are looking for the easy way. Easy street is a blind alley. So you need to know that, and you just have to pay the price. And nothing is better than the satisfaction of knowing that, wow, I worked my fanny off today and I had a good day. And that is a high that's legal and enjoyable and just wonderful.
Love it, man. If folks out there listening want to get in touch with you, what's the best way for them to go about doing so?
Well, probably Harry Mazier, Mazier @gmail.com. I also take a lot of phone calls, 404-853-1063. And again, I am available. I mentioned earlier that I have failed retirement, but that's a good thing to fail, okay? So life is good, and I am available if anyone feels I can be of help.
Love it, man. Well, Harry, thank you so much for taking the time to come on our show today. We are truly appreciative of it. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate what you're doing, Donald Kelly. If you're helping people be better salespeople, men and women who have more confidence in what they're doing and who can tell their stories more effectively, good for you. You're on a path to heaven, my friend.
Oh, brother. Well, I truly appreciate it, man. Same to you as well, man. Thank you.
Bye now. Thank you.
Hey, listen here. I don't know about you, but that was some good stuff, man. Thank you so much, Harry. Dude is an amazing storyteller, and I can tell that he's been successful at what he does. Like, if you go back and listen to him, he tells some meaningful stories, but also follow some of his content. You'll see that as well, the things that he produces. Harry actually has a book. It's called Story Selling, and we have a link back in the show notes. I recommend you check it out. Recommend you connect with Harry. All the details, again, are back in the show notes, thesalesevangelist.com/episode number 1068. Again, thesalesevangelist.com/episode number 1068. And while you're there, check out MailTag. Take advantage of the exclusive offer. You get 14 days for free. When you fall in love with it, use promo code Donald at checkout and get 50% off your subscription for life. That's amazing. Also, check out TSE Certified Sales Training Program. We have a new semester beginning in April, and I would absolutely love to have you join us. So find all the details, check it out. Let me know. It would be awesome to have you and your team. We share stuff like this. We bring guests like Harry on the podcast. We tell you about tools that can help you because we truly care. We want to help you. We've been there. We know how frustrating it can be. We want you to find more ideal customers. We want you to set more amazing appointments and build stronger value. We want you to close more deals. But most importantly, I want you to challenge yourself each and every single day to go out and do big things. Hey, check it out. I hope you enjoyed the show today as much as I did. And if so, I ask that you go ahead and leave us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, or wherever you listen to find podcasts. And if you haven't done so already, subscribe. What are you waiting for? Show your friends, your coworkers, your family, your ma, your pa, how they can subscribe as well. I would truly appreciate that. It would mean a lot. Our show today was produced by myself and the Sales Podcast Network. It was edited and mixed together by the one and only Mr. Jershon O'Bale. Our content writer and show note creator is Mr. Shannon Rasmussen. You can find audio credits to this and all of our episodes in each of our show notes. And as always, I am your host, your coach, your mentor, your guide down the sales journey, Mr. Donald C. Kelly, the Sales Evangelist. Sales Podcast Network.